You'll need some props for today's class. We are going to add resistance work to our sort of spine safe, back safe work. So I've got a really long resistance band because that's the nature of what I do. I have a lot of props. So whatever you have, if you have just a band that's half this size, just work with what you've got. If you've got a circular band, I love these guys. I'll link them below. If you just have a fabric, like booty band, grab one of those. So something like this, a set of weights, whatever amount feels right for you, and then something to sit on. And of course, again, because I do this, I have this foam box. You do not need the foam box. Just grab a sofa cushion or a couple of pillows or a bolster. But it's very important that you prop yourself up so you're not pushing your back and straining yourself to sit upright when we do the seated work. All right, so we're gonna start laying on your side on the mat. I'll meet you there. As you make your way down to your side on the mat, you're gonna take a band, whether it's just a straight long resistance band that you've tied into a loop. The loop should be small enough that when you put your thighs through it, you've got some pressure in so that you can push out against it. So don't make it super loose, basically. I've got my circular band around my thighs. So either tie a loop or use a circular band, any kind that you have. You're gonna lay on your side and you're gonna line the back edge of your body up with the back edge of your mat. So from butt to head is with the back edge of the mat. And then I've got my knees bent and my feet with the back edge of the mat. And the first thing we're gonna do is just stretch the top leg out as long and straight as you can. You're gonna flex your foot and you're gonna imagine that you're standing on the wall, right? So you're really gonna look down, you're gonna reach long, and you're gonna try and just think the weight of my leg, the reach of my leg is pulling and lengthening my spine. Now, if I only go with my leg in that direction of my foot, I'm not actually creating opposition, I'm not actually creating stretch, I'm just sliding in that direction. So gather the belly and the waistline a little bit and lengthen through the crown of your head in the opposite direction. Make sure your ribs have not pushed forward, but they are contained and stacked above your pelvis. Your pelvis is stacked on top of, like the top side is on top of the bottom side. And you're just gonna look down the side of your body. So I'm gonna lift my head up, just prop it up. And you see your ankle, you see your knee, and you see the side of your hip. And you're gonna push your top leg up until you feel some glute work here. Now, if you don't have a lot of strength here without hiking up your waist, then take the band away. Don't worry about the band. You're gonna reach and lift one, making sure your leg has not meandered forward into more quadricep or hip flexor action. We're really gonna try and stay real lateral here. And you're gonna lower that leg down. You're gonna reach and lift and you just like breathe in as you lift up. Exhale, draw the belly in, slowly lower the leg down. I'm really thinking about staying really in my side plane here, right? If you wanted to, or if you have the space, do this with your leg against a sofa or against a wall to hold you accountable. So you could just back your whole body back against the wall. And you're gonna do 2 more. So not a ton there, but it's about getting this medial and lateral movement of your femur in the socket, of your thigh in the socket, and strengthening the musculature around that in a balanced way so that then you know that you have a strong leg and a strong hip joint to prop up your pelvis, to prop up your spine and your back. And the dream is when we have a strong and balanced leg and hip joint, there's less pressure going into the spine or less work and effort. You're gonna bring that leg in and we're just gonna do the other side. So just spin around, use your arms to come up, swing those legs around, and do the other side. Now with these rolling bands, sometimes they roll up on you. You know what, just don't worry about it. It's not forever. It might cut into your IT band a little bit, but it'll be fine. You're gonna stretch out that top leg and I'm gonna take my eyes and look and find ankle, heel and ankle, knee, hip. Do I see this little dip in the side of my hip? Because I want to lift that leg up so I feel that. Pelvis is stacked, ribs are contained, lengthening my leg one way to pull my spine and my pelvis. My belly's drawing in and my head's lengthening the opposite direction as I lift and lower that leg. Inhaling as you lift up and exhaling as you lower down. Not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, as we add in more rigorous work, resistance work, we still want to tune into that breath, belly connection, breath being so important for our nervous system. So inhaling as you go up, exhaling as you go down. Make sure you go up high enough that you feel the glute firing. Check in, make sure, like on this side, my leg likes to creep forward. So I got to really think about how the band and the back of my thigh press against each other. This is one of the great things about using resistance work is it gives you more feedback, more proprioceptive feedback, and you build strength. One more there. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Bring the legs together. Then you're going to roll over onto your back. You can keep your band around your thighs unless you're tired of it, and then you can let go. But we are trying to build a little strength. I'm going to have my weights with me as well. I'm just choosing a modest amount. You go with where your strength level is, right? So if it needs to be a 1 pound weight, great. If it needs to be a 15 pound weight, great. Doesn't matter to me. I want you to listen to your body. So having your feet a little bit wider than normal. So normally I go sits bones distance, which is maybe like 4 or 5 inches. We're going to go a bit wider, so more like hips and shoulders. I'm going to take my weights to my thighs, and I still have my band, so I'm pushing out against my band, and we're going to do glute bridges. So I have both resistance to push laterally into the band, as well as resistance of the weight on my thighs. I'm going to push down into my feet, exhale, pull my belly in, and engage my hamstrings and glutes to lift me, not push my belly up. So usually when I push my belly up, I arch my back and I take it into my neck, like my chin drop down. I gotta pull my belly back. That's why we're exhaling as we come up, and I'm using hamstrings and glutes, right? That's what's picking me up. And then we're just gonna do 10 of these. So you're gonna drop the hips down, inhale, exhale, lift up 2. Inhale down, exhale, lift up 3. Inhale down, exhale, lift up 4. Inhale, exhale 5. Inhale down, exhale 6. Notice where your feet are. Are you rolling to the outside or the inside? Are you keeping the back out of the equation? You might not come up as high as me or someone else. You might just come up a few inches, but you still feel your feet and your legs. That's the goal. That's where you start. One more. This time come up, and as you come down, see if you can have a little bit of articulation, a little bit of that segmental movement, moving through your ribs, through your lumbar spine, all the way back down to your tail. Keep the ribs grounded, reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Keep a little pressure of your thighs against the bands. Now, if your legs are getting a little wobbly or tired, you're always welcome just to let the knees come together, but try and keep that little bit of work. I'm going to pull slightly with my feet, just like 2% pull with my feet. Pull my hips towards center, pull my waistline, drop my ribs, drop my shoulder blades, neck and throat are even. Now we're going to reach the arms overhead on an inhale, breathing into that back and side body. So again, try not to arch off the mat. Exhale, pull the belly in, pull the arms back overhead. So what you're trying to do is allow your shoulder blade to guide your arm overhead. So this is a wonderful yawn from the connection of your arm in all the way down to your sacrum. So I'm reaching, but I'm also engaging, especially when I pull the arm back towards the ceiling. Inhale, reach. Make sure your throat and neck are long. Exhale, pulling center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, coming center. I'm still paying attention to my pelvis being level. My back is relaxed, my neck is long, my throat is open, my legs are pressing against my band. 2 more, elbows are straight. Make sure the back doesn't arch when you reach those arms overhead. And 1 more. So taking the arms overhead pulls on that center, right? It pulls on my spine, and I'm just feeling that weight hang there and making sure that I can stabilize against it. And then bring your elbows down by your side, bring your arms and your weights down. Take your band, whatever version of loop band that you have, around your feet. Bring your knees a little bit into your chest. If you feel like, okay, that was a lot of container, right? So you had a lot of direction then. You're gonna breathe and just have your nervous system go. I can take a deep breath in, and I can take a deep breath out. Make sure that you find your place of your body, specifically getting the ribs down. If you need head support, always add in your head support. Ribs are down, pelvis has some weight, but it might not be completely neutral. I'm gonna flex the feet. I'm gonna lift my feet up, take my knees over-ish my hips. So like sometimes we might be a little closer, sometimes we might be a little farther away. Lift the feet to about the height of the knees, unless that's not the right call for you. Maybe you need your feet to be a little lower or a little higher. So we're trying to go for 90 degrees at the knees and 90-degree bend at the hip. If it's a little bit off, that's okay, right? So making sure that you have enough belly, stamina, and strength to stabilize against the weight of the legs. That's what's important. And that might mean that right now you start with your legs a little closer in. Remembering that anytime we add the lever away, that's what's harder. I'm pushing laterally against the band, so I'm pushing out against the band. And we're gonna pull one foot, I should say, in towards us. So I'm gonna push one foot away, and I'm gonna pull the other foot in. So almost like I'm trying to do marching, but I'm not actually gonna get this bottom leg down to the ground. And then we're gonna come center, and we're gonna get our breath going, as you might imagine. We're gonna inhale as we push. Exhale as we reset to center. Inhale as you meet your resistance. Exhale, coming center. Inhale, and as much as I'm pushing down, I'm also pulling in, right? So now I'm getting in the pulling in, especially if I pull in past 90, is gonna get trunk flexors, which are also your hip flexors. So psoas and iliacus have to kick in with this, which a lot of times those muscles are tight but weak, and that can contribute to our back discomfort. And you're breathing. Maybe you flip the breath. Maybe you're exhaling on the movement and inhaling back to center. That's fine. Play with it. Maybe one is better for you. Maybe it's more natural or more supportive. That's okay. I find that I'm stopping I kind of have wavered on my lateral, my side to side, pushing outward against the band. See if you can tune back into that if you've lost it. One more set. That foot flex is also really important for walking and gait, so keeping the toes and the fronts of the shins and the ankle active. And then come center. From there, bend your knees, take your band off your legs and come to your side and use your arms to come up to sitting. And this is where we are going to make your way to sitting. So I'm going to use this little foam block here. You, by all means, can use whatever you've got at your disposal. It could just be like pop up on a chair or a sofa. I'm going to take this band around my feet. Again, it does not have to be as long as mine is. And if you need to keep the knees bent, keep the knees bent. If you want to straighten the legs. But I'm going to keep my knees a little bent. And I'm going to grab up as much as I can. And I want you to take a moment, because a lot of times we're like, sit up straight, shoulders back, chin up. I want you to play around with, where can I be? Where do my legs need to be? Where does my pelvis need to be? So that I feel level on my sits bones, these butt bones that go down in there. Where do I feel level there? And then where can I bring my ribs? Where can you place your skeleton to where you have the most ease, at least to start? What does that feel like? That's not just like laying on your back on the mat. So when you're upright with a different orientation of gravity, where is that? And then you're gonna grab your band wherever you need to. I can feel the band slipping, so I'm gonna like loop my hands around. And we are going to draw the elbows back, but what I'm leading with in my mind, I'm thinking about draw my shoulder blades together. Now, when I draw my shoulder blades together, I am not pushing my chest and ribs forward, because that pushes my ribs out of displacement with my plumb line with gravity. So I've got to use my abdominals to pull my ribs a little bit together in the front, open them in the back, keep the ribs over the pelvis, keep the pelvis stable, and rowing back. And then rowing back. And really focus on your throat and your neck and your jaw being easy, light belly engagement here, and really initiating pulling the elbows back from that shoulder blade pulling together. We're going to add a little bit to this If you start to pull back and you find yourself arching or shearing the ribs, just make sure that maybe you need to go a little lighter with your grip. All right, so now you're gonna add looking over one shoulder. So one arm's gonna be straight, the other arm's gonna pull back, and I'm looking over. I'm not side bending. I haven't shifted the weight on my sits bones. It's the same. In fact, when I am here, I'm thinking about what's happening between my rib cage in the front and my hips in the front. So as I look over my shoulder, the opposite rib cage in the front, so I'm doing my right shoulder, my left rib cage has a connection towards my right hip, and then come center. Look over the other shoulder. I'm rowing back. I'm thinking about my shoulder blade pulling towards my back pocket. Looking over that shoulder, my other arm can reach forward. I'm thinking about rib to opposite hip in the front. Inhale, center. We're going to get a flow. We're going to exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. My pubic bone is staying over my navel is staying over my pubic bone. That's what I meant to say. My navel is staying over my pubic bone as my ribs twist and my shoulders twist and my head twists. So getting the thorax to mobilize with these shoulders is important. And last one, exhale, twist. Inhale, center. All right. So this band can go to the side. Your box or your pillow or whatever you're working with can go to the side. If you've got a looped band, take it around your feet. If you are working with a long band, you're welcome to also just take the long band around your feet and pull it forward and kind of anchor it underneath your hands. So if you don't want to like retie the longer band, if that's what you're working with, you could just take it behind your feet and put it underneath your hands. I'm going to use this guy because I have it. Hands underneath the shoulders. If you have sensitive wrists, you could make a fist or come down to your forearms. You are going to press into the ground. You're going to think about your head, your chest, your ribs, your belly floating away from the mat. On your exhale, you're going to push one leg back. Your bottom leg is active. My feet are flexed and my toes are tucked. And on my exhale, I'm going to pull my belly away from the mat, reach and lift my leg, and think length over anything else. I'm not thinking how high my leg can come. I'm thinking length. Tap that foot down. Exhale, belly, leg. Inhale, down. Exhale, belly, leg. Inhale, down. Exhale, belly, and then the leg moves. One more. Exhale, and bring that leg in and down. Try the other side. Exhale, find the head, the chest, the belly lifting. Slide that leg back. Take a moment to calibrate. Make sure both sides of the waist stay even and linked. So that decompression, that length of your spine, you're going to reach and lift that leg as you pull the belly in and up. 1. Exhale, belly, leg reaches in and up. 2. Exhale, 3. Exhale, 4. Just 5 of these. 5. Then you're going to bring that leg in and down. With or without the band, you're going to make your way up to standing. So walk the hands back or just lift your knees off and then walk your hands back up to standing. I'm going to keep my band here. I'm going to press into my feet and I'm not going to think just come right up. I'm going to think my feet to hips have to connect. So I'm going to connect my butt towards my feet, roll my pelvis up neutral, so then my spine has a chance to roll up evenly. And then from there, this is not super safe. Hopefully you don't have to move anywhere. I've got the band around my feet, right? I'm just here around my feet. I'm going to just practice lifting the leg up. So we're just going to lift up and down. And we're going to do 5 sets of that. I'm going to try and stay as level as I can in my pelvis. Relaxed in my shoulders. What about my ribs here? Can my ribs stay dropped in the front and lifted in the back? So my back between my rib cage and my pelvis is nice and open. Ooh. One more time each side. And relax. Then you're going to take your band up around your thighs. Think back to where we started when you were laying on your side and had to do your side leg lifts. We could do that here. We could stand on one leg and push the leg out, but what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna start at one end of your mat. We're gonna go into a squat, and it doesn't have to be a wide stance squat. You're gonna pull your belly in. Make sure you're back in your heels so you can feel the back line of the leg there, right? Go the depth that's right for you, but I don't want you to feel like you're rounding your back. We're gonna protect that spine by keeping it nice and neutral, hinging in the hip joint here. Belly's really lifting, right? So I'm lifting those ribs back. It's just like when I'm on my hands and knees. We're gonna walk to one side, we're gonna stay at this level. So you're gonna stay at this level as you walk one way. Maybe you go past your mat and you go the other way. Right? And then you do that again. We're just gonna do 3 passes. Stay low, stay connected to your heels. Not that you don't pay attention to the ball of your foot, but you just, a lot of times we're only in our toes. We're only ready to pounce forward. We forget about the back space. Sometimes that's our problem. We're only moving forward and never staying put or finding the perspective behind us. Now, come center wherever you are. Come all the way up, not by popping your knees back or back bending, by working through your hip joint. Then, I'm gonna use both, my long band and my circle band. If you don't have both, don't worry about it. Just move your arms. You could add weights instead. I'm gonna step my feet wide, maybe about shoulder width or a little bit wider. Maybe you have a little turnout. We're just gonna do regular old squats. And I want you to think about it like you are sitting in a chair. So you're gonna sit down. What we're gonna do is we're gonna reach the arms out in front of us as a balance. Remember, I'm not trying to stay upright. I'm gonna pull my ribs and my belly back, 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 and I'm gonna hinge my hip to go down. And then when I come up, open the arms apart. You could do this with weights, you could do this with bands, you could do this with nothing. As you come forward, imagine the arms offsetting the reach of your sits bones back, so you have some balance there. And then as you come up, I'm not leaning back, I'm not pushing my knees back, then coming up, I've got my belly engaged and I'm moving through my hip joint to come up. Arms forward, hips back, moving through the hip joint to come up. Arms forward, sits bones back, moving through the hip joint to come up, opening the arms. I'm letting my shoulder blades move with my arm movement as I do this. 2 more. 1 more. Then, if you have the long band, you can take your arms overhead. If you don't have the long band, what you're gonna do is just grab one arm. If you've got the long band, you're gonna put one arm down and the other arm's reaching up, belly's pulling in, making sure those ribs didn't flare open in the front. And if you don't have a band, just grab that arm and gently pull it. I'm not trying to go sideways, I'm just thinking a high diagonal. That's what I'm really thinking about, my top arm reaching. Center, one arm down, one arm up, reaching, center, bring the arms and the weights and the bands down, off of your legs, off of your way, and then we're going to do 1 roll down and roll up, and you're going to exhale and soften your breastbone, soften your solar plexus and ribs, soften the knees a little bit as you begin your roll down. Now, this curve here might be enough, right? That might be all you need. My pelvis hasn't even gotten involved. Maybe you can think the navel in and up, maybe that's too much stretch in your discs or your back, and you just want to keep your spine and you want to hinge in your hips. Maybe you want to do the navel lift and that feels really nice, and you roll as much as you can, and then your pelvis has to roll as you go down. I can keep my knees straight the whole time, but I'm intentionally keeping them bent so that I'm not relying on that. I'm really paying attention to my skeleton and where it is, and then how the musculature is trying to support it around its easiest spot. Then I'm going to feel my feet down, and I'm going to keep my knees bent. And you are going to draw your belly in and up, and you're going to use your hamstrings to pull the pelvis upright, and you're going to think, okay, pubic bone and hip bone's level. Now here, a lot of times we just lift our head up. So bring your ribs back, then stack them up, bring your shoulders there, do a little shoulder roll. Maybe you keep your knees bent that whole time. Maybe your body's not ready to have a straight leg and a long back. So maybe just keep the knees bent, and it keeps the back easy, and it keeps your neck easy. So by adding resistance work to our movements, we're adding both proprioceptive feedback, so the way that you're getting information in your body and in your brain, as well as strengthening work, which is so important to our overall health and well-being, as well as any back pain that we have, to know that we have a strong hip joint and balanced hip joint to stand on so that we're not collapsing into our back, or that our arms can withstand moving through space. A lot of times our arms are just down here or here or here, and they're not moving through space. We need to have all of this moving and somewhat balanced in its range of motion and its strength to create a healthy ecosystem here. All right, we'll continue exploring standing work. So, you might not always be able to get to the mat. We'll do that in the next video. And until next time, keep moving.